Hi, this tutorial covers multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage sampling is a sampling technique where any combination of random sampling techniques are used. So it might involve simple random samples, it may involve stratified random samples, it may involve systematic random samples, may involve cluster samples. So any combination of these random sampling techniques can make up a multi-staged sampling technique. So let's look at an example of when multi-stage sampling may be useful. Suppose a farmer is interested in the health of trees in his orchard. He stratifies his orchard into 8 tree by 8 tree squares. He then classifies each row of 8 trees as a cluster. He then randomly selects one row of trees per stratum to study. So let's say that this is the orchard. So what he did first is stratified his orchard. So that would represent one stratum. This would represent another. So each of these are 8 by 8. 8 trees by 8 trees. Okay, so he's going to continue this process. Until he has his farm, or his orchard, stratified. Okay, then what he does is represents each row as a cluster. So we're going to have 8 clusters per stratum. So then if he wants to take his sample, what he would need to do is number each cluster within each stratum. So we'll just assume that the top row is always row 1, the bottom row is always row 8. So this would be row 1 down here, row 8. This would be row 1 here, row 8 here. So then what he would need to do is generate a random number 1 through 8 for each stratum. Okay, so let's say here he randomly selects 5. Here he randomly selects 4. Here he randomly selects 1. So for 5, the 5th row, those would be the trees that he would study. In the 2nd stratum, row 4 is the trees he's going to study. Row 1. And he would continue until he has a cluster of trees from each of the 9 strata. He would then take all of those trees, combine them together into one big sample, that sample being called a multi-stage sample. So since this sampling technique utilizes both stratified random sampling and cluster sampling, it is an example of multi-stage sampling. That is the tutorial on multi-stage sampling. Thanks for watching.